The Lark and Her Young Ones. One day, a lark made her nest in a field of young wheat. As the days passed, the wheat stalks grew tall, and the young birds, too, grew in strength. Then one day, when the ripe, golden grain waved in the breeze, the farmer and his son came into the field. "The wheat is now ready for reaping," said the farmer. "We must call in our neighbors and friends to help us harvest it." The young larks in their nest close by were much frightened, for they knew that they would be in great danger if they did not leave the nest. When the mother lark returned with food for them, they told her what they had heard. "Do not be frightened, children," said the mother lark. "If the farmer said he would call in his neighbors and friends to help him do his work, this wheat will not be reaped for a while yet." A few days later, the wheat was so ripe that when the wind shook the stalks, a hail of wheat grains came rustling down on the young larks' heads. "If this wheat is not harvested at once," said the farmer, "we shall lose half the crop. We cannot wait any longer for help from our friends. Tomorrow we must set to work ourselves." When the young larks told their mother what they had heard that day, she said, "Then we must be off at once. When a man decides to do his own work and not depend on anyone else, then you may be sure there will be no more delay." There was much fluttering and trying out of wings that afternoon. At sunrise the next day, when the farmer and his son cut down the grain, they found an empty nest. Remember, children, self-help is the best help. The Old Lion and the Fox. Once upon a time in a forest, there lived a lion who had grown very old. The lion's teeth and claws were worn with old age, and he couldn't hunt for food anymore. One day he got an idea and sent a message to everyone in the village. He pretended to be sick and summoned everyone to come and visit him. The next day, the goat came to the lion's cave to offer its sympathy. But as soon as the goat walked in, the lion caught and ate him. A deer came to the cave the next day. But as he walked in, the lion got him and ate him as well. One by one, the lion ate the animals who came to visit him. One day, the clever fox came outside the cave. The fox was very cautious and stood at a safe distance from the cave. Then he inquired politely about the lion's health. The lion replied that he was very well indeed and asked the fox to step in for a moment. The fox wisely stayed outside, thanking the lion very kindly for the invitation. "I should be glad to do as you ask," he added. "But I have noticed that there are too many footprints leading to your cave. But there are no marks of anyone coming out. Please tell me, how do your visitors find their way out?" The lion realized that he couldn't fool the fox, who was very wise too. The fox then went back and told everyone what the lion was doing. He was saved only because he learned from the mistakes of others. The Wolf and the Lean Dog. One day, a hungry wolf was prowling near a village. Then he saw a dog lying down. It happened to be a very lean and bony dog, and Master Wolf would have turned up his nose at such meager fare had he not been more hungry than usual. So he began to edge toward the dog, while the dog backed away. "Let me remind your lordship," said the dog, his words interrupted now and then as he dodged a snap of the wolf's teeth, "how unpleasant it would be to eat me now. Look at my ribs, I'm nothing but skin and bone. But let me tell you something in private. In a few days, my master will give a wedding feast for his only daughter. You can guess how fine and fat I will grow on the scraps from the table. Then is the time to eat me." The wolf could not help thinking how nice it would be to have a fine, fat dog to eat instead of the scrawny object before him. So he went away, pulling in his belt and promising to return. Some days later, the wolf came back for the promised feast. He found the dog in his master's yard and asked him to come out and be eaten. "Sir," said the dog with a grin, "I shall be delighted to have you eat me. I'll be out as soon as the porter opens the door." But the porter was a huge dog whom the wolf knew by painful experience to be very unkind towards wolves. So he decided not to wait and made off as fast as his legs could carry him. So children, never depend on the promises of those whose interest is to deceive you. The Frogs and the Well. A long, long time ago, two brother frogs lived in a marsh. They had enough water to drink, and they played around merrily. But one summer it got so harsh that the marsh dried up. The two frogs had no water to drink, so they left in search of another place to live. They looked for water everywhere, and they traveled for days and days. Just as they were about to give up hope, by and by they came upon a well. The younger, foolish brother hopped on the well to get a better look. The bottom of the well was pitch black, and he couldn't see anything. "This looks like a nice place," said the little frog. "Let's jump in and settle here." The older brother, with a wiser head on his shoulders, replied, "Not so fast, my brother. Supposing this well dried up like the marsh, how would we get out?" But before the older and wiser brother could finish his sentence, the younger, foolish brother leaped into the well without thinking. With a great thud, the frog hit the bottom of the well. When he looked around, he found no water. And there was no way to escape either. Then the younger, foolish brother thought, "I should have listened to my brother and looked before I leaped. Now I'm stuck here with no means to escape." The Goose and the Golden Egg. There once was a countryman who possessed the most wonderful goose you can imagine. Every day when he visited the nest, the goose had laid a beautiful, glittering, golden egg. The countryman took the eggs to market and soon began to get rich. But it was not long before he grew impatient with the goose, because she gave him only a single golden egg each day. He was not getting rich fast enough. Then one day, after he had finished counting his money, the idea came to him that he could get all the golden eggs at once by killing the goose and cutting it open. But when he killed the goose, not a single golden egg did he find, and his precious goose was dead. Those who have plenty want more and more, and they end up losing everything they have. The Crow and the Pitcher. Once upon a time, a crow who was very thirsty flew around searching for water. He searched and searched, but he couldn't find water anywhere. Half dead with thirst, he saw a pitcher with water in it. But when the crow put its beak into the pitcher, he found that there was very little water left, and he could not reach far enough down to get at it. He tried and he tried, but at last he had to give up in despair. Then he saw a pebble lying around, and he suddenly got an idea. He took a pebble and dropped it into the pitcher. Then he took another pebble and dropped that into the pitcher. Then he took another pebble and dropped that into the pitcher. Then he dropped another one. Like that, one by one, he dropped many pebbles into the pitcher. With each pebble, the water rose higher and higher. And at last, the water was near enough for the crow to drink. The moral of this story is, in a pinch, a good use of our wits may help us out.